Hey there, guys, and welcome to this week's final edition of Full Count, SportsMemo's daily MLB show. I am Jeff Michaels, or you may know me as JM Sports, and I'm honored to be hosting again for you guys today. And as most of you may know, we're excited to be headed off to Las Vegas this weekend and spend some time over at the Westgate. But if you aren't aware, Wager Talk and Sports Memo, they're hosting a meet and greet this weekend at the Westgate Superbook. And we're looking forward to meeting you guys all on Saturday night. And we're looking forward to getting on the plane and getting out there. You guys do see it scrolling across the bottom. We do have a special going on this weekend and beyond. But for the meet and greet, we're doing all access 3-day packages for just $39. It does run until the 28th, but we're doing it this weekend big while we're out there meeting all you guys. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with some of the best cappers in the business, but we do have some of the best cappers in the industry on the panel with me today. I am joined by capper Ronald Cabang and Mr. Eric Pauly, fresh off one vacation, bounce into the next. But Ronald, how you doing today, man?
Man, it's been good last few days. The last few weeks with WNBA, MLB, been pretty rock solid on those. I'm super jealous that you guys are going to be in Vegas. I was there for the first one. That was super fun. Last time it was your birthday when we were out there. That was like a surprise because I never met you before that, but that was super cool to meet everyone there. Definitely jealous about everyone going this time because it seems more organized and a lot more people. Seems like they're going to be out there this time around too. So you guys are going to have fun, man.
Yeah, I was going to say Eric Pauly, is one of the men that I haven't actually officially met. So looking forward to it this weekend. But have you recovered from your last trip yet?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I haven't been making my scheduled appearances on the Full Count show and the First Family show because I was on a little vacation in Europe. Was doing a lot of traveling, actually. Was on a flight every other 3 days when I was there going city to city. And now I'm getting on another flight again this tomorrow, believe it or not, to go out to Las Vegas to be with all the great fans, all the great people we work with at SportsMemo and Wager Talk. I could not be more excited. It'll be my first time in Las Vegas as well. And I know it's definitely been a rough in terms of sleep and not getting any of it with traveling so often, but it's football season. It's time to meet some friends, and I'm ready to rock. And this is the break that I needed to get ready to go for the stretch run we got going on for the rest of the year.
Right. You got 1 day to bounce back and a couple more days to tack on to the end of it. So should be an exciting weekend, though. Yeah, looking forward to meeting some of the new guys and some of the fans, too. But as far as baseball for today, guys, let's go into these roundtable games. Game 1, New York Mets are taking on the Braves at Truist Park again. And pulling out the win in yesterday's matchup, 2 teams scored 5 combined runs in the 9th inning, with the Mets putting up 3 in the top of the 9th, and that puts the Mets back up 4.5 games in the East. Pitching matchup has some of the best. They got Jacob deGrom back making his 4th start against lefty Max Fried, who ranks among the best in some of the biggest stats. And from what I had seen looking through this SDQL stuff today, both of these teams should win the game. So hopefully you guys can give me a little bit of a better breakdown. Start with Ron. I know you're an SDQL guy. I'm interested to get your take on this one.
Yeah, this one is tough just because of the current season. Like DeGrom hasn't played so much. He just came in. I think this is his 4th start now. But like you said, this is a strong pitchers duel. Jacob deGrom versus Max Fried. DeGrom has missed, like I said earlier, a majority of the season. Coming into this one, I think it's his 4th, if I'm not mistaken. But it really is like he didn't miss a beat. An ERA around 1.6, in a WHIP around 0.4. Like I don't think that WHIP is sustainable, but I don't think it's just going to get blown up in one single game here either. Fried, he's been pretty consistent, whether or not he's at home or on the road, pitching day or night. He's really just been a very, very consistent pitcher all year round. One trend that I did find, though, from an SDQL level, is me that pushed me towards the Mets here is the Braves are 0-5 on the money line as home dogs this season. The Braves are also averaging just 3 runs per game in that 5-game sample size. while opponents are averaging close to 6 per game. In all 5 games, they lost by 2 or more runs as well. This includes the game yesterday, which they lost 7-9. You mentioned, how many runs they scored in that 5th inning. The big thing to me here is that, obviously I'm looking towards the Mets here. This is the way that I'm looking on this one, but I wouldn't doubt that they could win this one by 2 or more. Again, could be 6 games in this spot here that they lose by 2 or more. So give me the Mets on this one.
Yeah, I saw that 0-5. They're 6-17 in their last 23 as a dog overall too. So
Crazy.
Got one more thing for you, I'm sure, but I'm gonna let Eric Pauly take it away and see what he's got to say before I add a little.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at this matchup, and something that I'll never stop saying on the show is that nothing gets me going for the MLB better than a pitching matchup, especially when it's 2 pitchers of this magnitude. That's always one of the first places I look when breaking down any single game. But like Ronald mentioned, I mean, with DeGrom only making his 4th start of the season, it's very hard to, compile any data for him. But the early returns are just as you'd expect from Jacob DeGrom, like Ronald said, a 1.62 ERA, 0.42 WHIP, and a ridiculous 0.72 FIP. While I agree that none of these numbers are sustainable to an extent over the course of an entire season, I mean, this guy is remarkable. I don't expect any sort of real regression or inflation of those numbers because he is one of, if not the, in my opinion, the best pitcher in the MLB when he's healthy and going. But looking at these matchups, I mean, the Atlanta Braves really smacked the Mets the last 2 days, and they were as big as -160 favorites in the matchup they had 2 nights ago on Tuesday, where they ended up taking that big victory. Both of these teams are just on fire. The Braves are 8-2 of their last 10. Mets 7-3. But something that I've been looking at, since again there's not enough data on DeGrom's actual starts this season, is just looking how these teams have been performing in August. And the Mets lineup has the 4th best OPS, scored the 4th most runs, and has the 3rd highest batting average. But on the flip side, you look at the Atlanta Braves, and they have the highest batting average in August, the 3rd highest OPS, and they've scored the most runs over the course of this month so far. So looking at those 2 numbers, I mean, you'd probably expect to look at the over, considering last night's 9-7 game, the Braves putting up 13 just by themselves a couple nights ago. But I think this is finally when these 2 teams are going to buckle down and have a real playoff atmosphere game. Of course, DeGrom has not pitched against the Braves this season due to injury, but the Braves are familiar with him just being NL East rivals. This will be the 4th time that the Mets get a look at Max Fried this season. They're 1-2. The Braves are 1-2 in the games Fried has started against the Mets. But where I'm really, again, going for this angle is, while I do think the Mets can certainly pull off a victory, I'm thinking that the 2 pitching matchups are really going to – the 2 pitchers are really going to assert their dominance in today's start. And I'm actually not looking at the under for the 7 for the entire game. I'm looking at the first 5 innings, under 3 runs combined for these 2 teams through 5 innings.
Yeah, I like that. I do, especially against those starting pitching. I think DeGrom keeps it up to some extent. But the 2 things that caught my attention: Mets are 13-2 as a favorite against a divisional lefty, and the Braves dominated off a loss, especially when they give up a bunch of runs. So, I think it's hard that they really do kind of point both directions. I think I'm leaning Mets too, and I like that total on that one. So. All right, guys, over to game 2. We are sticking with New York, but we got the Yankees taking on Toronto. How about this one? Pittsburgh, Oakland, and Detroit are the only 3 teams in baseball worse than the New York Yankees in the last 10 games. But Toronto's right there with them, too, and these 2 face off tonight in the Bronx, and they're both coming in with 3-7 records in the last 10. Yankees have to be hoping that their exciting walk-off grand slam last night is going to turn things around. And after the extra innings win, Josh Donaldson was a hero, but tonight they got to start another new series. And Frankie Montas makes his 3rd start as a member of the Yankees, taking on Jose Berrios for the Blue Jays. Eric, I know you're not too far from New York City up there. So what's your take on this Yankees game tonight?
Yes, so I actually have a 5% premium play for my clients tonight on this game over the course of the MLB season on my MLB Plays of the Week 5%ers. I'm 11-0 for $5,500 in profit, so I would definitely tune into that, and of course look at what Ronald and Jeff have on the premium side for tonight as well. Looking at this matchup, you said it the best. I mean, both these teams are struggling mightily. You look at the Yankees lineup throughout the course of the season, and of course, you're going to see a lot of them ranking very highly. But in the month of August, the New York Yankees have the 21st best OPS in baseball, and they've scored the 24th most runs. So for a lineup and a team that actually surprised a lot of people with how good their pitching staff was, but we were expecting them to be this offensive juggernaut. The way that they've slowed down in August really should be a cause for concern for this lineup moving forward. A walk-off grand slam is not going to happen for you every night, and scoring 4 runs on one swing also does not happen too often. So the Yankees are going to need to find some adjustments there. But the Yankees to lead the season series with the Jays 8-4. But the matchup between Berrios and Montez is a very interesting one. Berrios is somehow 8-5 on the year through 23 starts because his numbers from a statistical perspective are not going to blow anybody away. They actually are frightening in kind of a bad way. A 5.61 ERA, 5.07 FIP, and a 1.39 WHIP. He has faced the Yankees twice this season. Both of them have been on the road in Yankee Stadium, and he went 1-1 in those games. But those are back in April and May. And looking at those 2 starts, though, he still allowed 8 runs and 11 hits in just 10.1 innings of work. Last 2 starts, not much better, 13 runs and 7.2 innings in those 2 starts. And on the road this season, he has a 7.50 ERA, a 5.88 slugging percentage against, a 6.25 FIP, and a 1.59 WHIP. So Berrios has certainly not been getting the job done for Toronto, despite the fact that they somehow win the games he starts, but his statistics are bad. And you have Montez on the other side, who will make his 3rd start for the Yankees. And this season, he's 4-9 in 21 starts with a 3.59 ERA, 3.53 FIP, and a 1.19 WHIP. In his 2 Yankee starts, he has been bad, and he has been bad on the road all season long. And he actually made up for that, and his stats look pretty solid from his home pitching performances. But this will be the first start he makes at Yankee Stadium. Of course, he's not with the Athletics anymore. I'm interested to see how this matchup plays out because these are 2 pitchers that these teams brought on to really have them be great assets for the stretch runs. And so far this season, it's only been 2 starts for Montez and the Yankees, but they're not really paying dividends. I am going to give out a play of the Blue Jays first 5 innings plus 130. I do, again, have that 5% play over on SportsMemo that is available for purchase. So in terms of a lighter play, I like the Blue Jays on the first 5, but it's a very interesting matchup, and I'm excited to see how you guys are taking down this game.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked to see, Berrios, that 5.61 ERA, like you said, is bad. It's actually the worst in the league among qualifying pitchers. So it doesn't get any worse than that out of the guys that are putting time up there. But Ronald, what do you got on this one tonight?
Yeah, I think, Eric kind of talked about the Yankees struggles offensively. A lot of people were talking about that. They broke out yesterday after the 5th inning in a big way. All 8 of their runs came after the 5th inning yesterday, ending up, winning off of that walk-off grand slam. And like you said, that's not going to happen all the time. But this is one of those things that I could see could be like a momentum shifter. You know what I mean? Like this could be the thing that kind of pushes their offense to get back going to what it was earlier in the season. This doesn't necessarily mean they get the win. So I do want to focus more so on the total than anything. And you guys touched it on Berrios. And specifically as a dog this season, he's 4-0 to the over. 2 of those games were already against the Yankees. And this is going to be, and I think Eric talked about this too as well, Frankie Montz's first home game in a Yankee uniform. And to me, Yankee Stadium and Yankees fans, it's different than any other place. And so I'm expecting him to have some first game jitters at the house. And he got touched up in his Yankee debut. So I think that's going to happen here again in his Yankee Stadium debut. So for me, I'm focusing in on the total. Total opened up at 8, has gone up to 8.5. I agree with that line, that total movement. I would recommend taking the over in this one.
Yeah, I like it. I was looking, Eric, you mentioned it on the last game a little bit too, but I was looking back at these guys since August 1st and prior to August 1st, Toronto was 3rd in runs per game. The Yankees were 1st. Since August 1st, Toronto's 24th and the Yankees are 20th. Win percentages have plummeted. They were amongst the top in all of those, and it's scary. You got to have a little bit of comfort as a Yankees team that won that many wins, had that many wins early, but they got to change something before the postseason if they want to take it all the way, right? So
people will talk about like not trying to catch a falling knife. It sounds like that's what I'm doing, but I feel like just like in the NBA, you kind of take these other sports and the capping process from those other sports. Sometimes there's those things that really just flip a switch for teams, and to me, a game-winning walk-off grand slam can build a lot of confidence, in my opinion. So that's the way that I was looking at it in this one.
And I think it's another great point mentioning, being in the pitching at Yankee Stadium. I mean, he was pitching for the athletic crowd that, they couldn't even fit an auditorium full of people that were going to watch the game. And now he's going to be pitching against in a sold out Yankee Stadium every time as his home field. So we all know, as we've seen from the Joey Gallos and the list goes on and on, the world of people that cannot handle the New York Yankee pressure wearing those pinstripes. Tonight is a test. I mean, they made a big move to get him at the deadline. If he is actually going to be one of those pieces that carry the Yankees to that World Series championship, tonight is going to be a big night to show that. So I really, I love that breakdown. I think that's a very great point to reiterate, Ronald.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at his home numbers on the season and you almost have to throw him out because it's an entirely different atmosphere. You got a different team backing you. So it's almost like a new pitcher on a new season, like a DeGrom. So, but game 3, guys, sticking in the same, that AL East, but we're going to interleague play. We got game 3. Boston's taking on Pittsburgh in PNC Park. And the Red Sox are looking to sweep this interleague series tonight. They got Josh Winkowski on the mound after Nathan Eovaldi was scratched due to an apparent neck injury. But he faces off against JT Brubaker for the Pirates, who's been better at home this season, but he's been a fade opportunity more than once on the year. This matchup may feature 2 last-place teams, but it's definitely 2 totally different stories in this one. Pittsburgh's nearly 20 games out of the wild card. They're 20 and a half out of the Central, and they have the second worst run differential in the league. Meanwhile, Boston, they're playing in the best division in baseball. They're still a 500 team, and they're just 4 games out of the wild card. So it's maybe one of the most meaningful games between 2 last-place teams that we've seen in a while, but Boston's not out of it yet. So, Ron, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you kind of touched on it, like the motivation part of it, right? For Boston, that's there, and they have a lot to fight for. And I think, to me, and you touched on the whole sweep angle as well. I think they complete that sweep today. Eovaldi, like you mentioned, was switched out over for Winkowski. To me, I think that pitcher, obviously the pitcher matters, but in this spot here specifically, I don't think it's a 50-cent move. It went from minus 200 to like minus 150 or what I think it is right now, minus 150. I think we're getting some value here just because of the pitching change. The Red Sox were, and I'm focusing right now primarily on the first 5. The Red Sox were up after the first 5 in both games in this series so far. In the first 5 innings of the first 2 games combined, the Red Sox have 9 runs and the Pirates have 2. Both runs were for the Pirates were in the first inning of yesterday's game. To me, the Pirates bats are just struggling to hit for average and put up runs lately, and I think that continues, especially early on in this game with Winkowski here. I think the Red Sox first 5 run line is the play here. You can get it at minus 105. Even though we're already getting value on getting value on the money line, it's still a lot cheaper to back the first 5 run line with minus 105.
Yeah, no, I agree. You just got to be up by 1, so you got to win. So
yeah,
Eric, what do you got on this one? What are your views?
Yeah, so I absolutely love that angle that Ronald just laid out. I mean, I completely agree with the fact that the pitching change should not warrant a 50-cent difference. I'm actually a big fan of JT Brubaker, and I know you mentioned that you think he's a little bit better, or his stats are slightly better at home this season, Jeff, but they're still bad stats. His ERA at home is still a 5.44. He's got a 491 slugging percentage against, a 4.59 FIP, and a 1.60 WHIP at home this season. The Red Sox, and like you mentioned, Ron, being the 2 last place teams with completely different trajectories, the Sox are still in the wild card race. They're just 4 games back of that spot. They have the postseason on their minds. The Pirates, though, I think it's interesting, as a last place team, they have the chance to play spoiler, so they could certainly ruin some teams' playoff hopes throughout the remainder of the season. But the Sox being just 5-5 in the last 10 doesn't really bode well for the amount of confidence I have in them. I mean, Josh Winkowski is a solid pitcher, 5-5 on the year in 11 starts, 4.69 ERA, a high 4.95 FIP. In his last 3 starts, he also has been a little bit better, though. He's allowed just 6 runs, but he's let up 17 hits and 15.2 innings of work. The Red Sox are 2-2 on his road starts this year, and those road starts have gone under in 3 of those 4 games. In 22 innings on the road this year, though, Winkowski's got a 2.92 ERA, a 3.38 FIP, so he does a little bit better there, though the sample size is still small. Pittsburgh, again, they really can't do anything except play spoiler for the rest of the season. They're 5-3 in games that Brubaker has actually started at home, but they actually did not cover the run line in any of those 3 starts that they lost. I'm going to save my best bet for the next probably 5 minutes from now. So I'm going to give you a little bit of suspense because it is on this matchup. But just from a general perspective, I mean, I think the price is right. And I think that I could see the argument for a Sox win or a Pirates cover. So there could be a little bit of a middle ground there.
Yeah, I like it. I thought the same thing. I looked at Winkowski, and he's got a 2.82 ERA on the road this season too. So 50 cents is a lot of money on a change that seemed a little more lateral than that. Brubaker's got an ERA over 8 in his last 3 starts. So, we head on over the best bet segment, guys. I will get it started here. I'll give you a second to think about that Boston-Pittsburgh game before we head on back over to Eric. But guys, I do want to say I do have my MLB game of the month over up and loaded. It's a 10% play up right now. It's $14.99, normally $49. Plus, I do have a 30-day all access code in there for under $6 a day. But I am going to give it out to you guys here today to use. You can use code under 6 at checkout. That's 30 days of my stuff for just $179, all access, MLB included, as well as the football action that started up. So you can go in, use that for today's stuff, and get tonight's MLB game of the month as well. But in terms of my best bet for today's action on here, I am going to go with Tampa Bay covering the run line against the Royals tonight. I mean, Tampa Bay's got Luis Patino on the mound. He hasn't made too many starts this year, coming off of some injuries, but Tampa Bay's won 5 in a row on the run line, and they're 10-3 in the last 13 games. And Kansas City struggled. Tampa Bay's got a 9-2 record against teams under 500 in the last 11 games, and they're winning those games by over 2 runs a game. And since August 1st, Tampa Bay's pitching's been impressive all in all. They have the 6th best ERA at 3.27, and they have the 2nd best strikeout to walk ratio in the league at a 4.62. Kansas City's got Brad Keller on the mound. They're just 3-10 on the run line in his night starts this season. He's got a 6.25 ERA in those 13 starts at night. And in his one start against Tampa this year, he allowed 4 earned runs in just 4 innings. And in his career, his team's just 1-4 in his starts against the Rays. So Kansas City's been shut out back-to-back games, and they're 1-5 in the last 6 on the run line. So after that devastating loss yesterday on the other end of that New York game, I'm thinking that Tampa Bay bounces back pretty big in this one. So I'm going Tampa Bay on the run line minus that 1.5 over Kansas City for my best bet today. But now that you did have some time to put that all together, guys, we're going to throw it back to Eric Pauly. He's going to give you his best bet for today and maybe tell you a little bit more about what he's looking forward to.
Yeah, Eric? So I'm going to keep you in suspense for just another hot second, talk about what I got on the premium side. Like I mentioned, another 5% MLB play of the week, 11-0 this season. It does not get better than perfect. I found an edge, 5% edge on one of these games tonight, and when I find the 5% edge, of course, I have that going for my clients. Also, just to mention that pick is going for $19.99, but if you want to go for a 3-day pass, for 3-day all access, that's only $39, and that includes any and all sports that I'm betting. So if I do end up having some preseason NFL games, that would be included in that as well as that pick, that 5% play I have tonight. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at that for not only myself, but for Jeff and Ronald as well. And lastly, my NFL 2022 preseason wins report is available for free on SportsMemo. It is a thesis on all 32 NFL teams, and I took a stance on whether I think that team is overvalued, undervalued, or efficiently valued by the betting market based on my projected models win total compared to the consensus win totals posted by Las Vegas Sportsbooks. That is 100% free on SportsMemo, so definitely take a look at that and get ready to bet the NFL because it is here. But going back to the diamond, of course, I'll still be betting baseball until we get into the into the beginning of November. But I'm going with my best bet on the Boston Red Sox minus that 150 on the money line on the road against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ronald, Jeff, and I went into great detail about the pitching matchup between Winkowski and Brubaker. Winkowski being better on the road than Brubaker is at home definitely plays a part into this handicapping. But the biggest thing that I think is the big motivational factor that is really just the obvious factor is that the Red Sox need to win this game a lot more than the Pittsburgh Pirates need to win this game. I had Boston to win the NL East before the season started at plus 500. They're not doing that, unfortunately, but that just goes to show that I believed in their talent from the beginning of this season, and that now when their back's against the wall, only 4 games out of a wild card spot, this is just a must-win game, and I don't think that there's anything that the Pirates can throw at them that will really shake Boston. I mean, Pittsburgh has the 29th best OPS against AL teams in their limited interleague games this season. Motivation is the key thing here, and it's not something to always bet and find an edge on, but in the situation, I think the game is accurately priced, and I think that Boston, all things considered, is the correct side. They need the win. They have the better team. I'm riding with the Sox on the money line.
I like it. I do, Eric. And last but not least, guys, to close out the week, technically no shows tomorrow, so we are closing out the week on a Thursday. Ryan, what do you got for your best bet for tonight for us?
Yeah, for the best bet on the show today, I'm going back to what we talked about earlier with the Mets. I think they, money line, the money line here at minus 135. To me, I think Jacob deGrom he just come back and he's been his dominant self. Throughout his career, we've seen him do this like throughout, even coming off after injuries, coming off layoffs. He just comes back and he's his dominant self. I know Fried in this spot here as well has been very consistent throughout the year, but as I mentioned, there's that one trend that I really love in this spot. The Braves are not home dogs much at all this season, and that just tells me when they're 0-5 in this spot that it means something to the Bucks, especially too. That there's probably something on the other side that's pushing them towards putting them in this spot. And for me, it really is DeGrom here, and in this, to me, like I think the numbers speak for itself in those 5 games as home dogs, losing by an average of almost 3 runs per game. It's very strong to me, and that's the reason why I'm going for that Mets money line minus 135 as the best bet on the show today. That will actually also be one of my client plays as well on my premium side. So moving on to that, I do have one premium play up for sale, which is on the preseason game today. The Seahawks and the Bears. I'm actually going to that game, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, I'll have some extra fun if more cash is in my pocket at the end of the game. But yeah, other than that, I'm probably going to throw up a WNBA play as well. We got 2 games in the WNBA tonight. One of them I'll probably have a premium play on. So probably a total of 3 plays today from our premium side. And that's how it's going to go today. And like I said, again, I wish I was going to Vegas with you guys, but I know you guys are going to have a lot of fun without me.
Yeah, I like it, guys. You got 3 free winners for you there, too. Like they said, we got plenty of winners for you on the site as well. You got that 3-day all access. Most of us will be out there in Vegas. You guys sign up for those 3-day all access passes, and you can watch all our plays with us while we're out there at the Superbook in Vegas. So we look forward to meeting you guys and seeing everybody else out at the Westgate. So with that, we close out the week of shows, guys. From all of us over here at SportsMemo, thank you for joining us, and you guys have a good weekend. We'll see you at the Westgate.